Okay, let's get seated. For those of you watching on the stream, people are funneling in to pick up the UX track. I'm really happy to be facilitating this track in particular. So first of all, thanks to everyone for coming to Authenticate. Still day one, still getting started. Great 3 days ahead. It's interesting. UX is something that really wasn't on FIDO's radar until around 2020-ish. But then, by then it became readily apparent, though, that you really can't talk about Passkeys and user authentication without talking about UX. And so quite quickly, pretty much every conversation I had about deploying Passkeys, which is what I do a lot for my job, began and ended in talking about usability. And so as you all know by now, of course, UX is probably the top investment area inside of FIDO Alliance, reflected in things like our design guidelines, which are helping countless companies successfully implement Passkeys and other FIDO solutions. So this track will bring 3 UX-related perspectives to all of you here and watching the stream. Kicking things off is Yunji from Google to talk to you about UX considerations for mobile devices. Yunji.
Hello, everyone. I'm Yunji. I'm Android UX lead for Credential Manager and Passkeys. Today, I'm excited to talk about mobile UX best practices for Passkeys. Now on Android, with Passkeys, users can seamlessly and easily sign into their apps and website using their screen locks such as a fingerprint or face. This convenient experience is made by Credential Manager API, which we launched last year. It brings Passkeys, passwords, and federated sign-ins into one single interface for a simple sign-in experience. Just within the last year, partners like Dashlane and Kayak have adopted Credential Manager and Passkeys and have delivered incredible results for their users. As a lead designer for a Credential Manager, I'm dedicated to continuously shaping successful Passkey user experience for Android users. This involves not only refining the current user experience, but also developing comprehensive UX guidelines for our developers. Throughout this journey, I've encountered 3 challenges specific to mobile UX for Passkeys, but that can be applied for other platforms as well. Today, I will talk about these challenges, platform agnostic, need for speed, and user education, and how Android team has addressed those challenges. And also, I'm going to share some tactical UX guidelines you can immediately apply for your product. Let's talk about the first challenge, platform agnostic. Passkeys need to work across different platforms and a wide range of the device, each with its own design system and technical constraints. While we have an amazing UX foundation through FIDO, my UX review of the initial Passkey integration for many Android developers revealed a need for more specific and accurate UX guidelines to improve their user experience. This is especially important for small mobile devices because UI components where we want to communicate Passkeys even smaller than the screen size. So every design choice matters for us. And also, every design matters. And next. That being said, standardizing Passkey UX is important to enhance clarity and coherence for entire Passkey ecosystem. To support this idea, since last year, Android team has optimized small UI components with consistent design language. We defined various attribute display, and also at the same time, we also thinking about how we can display other information to make the experience more unified and simpler. To support this strategy, I'm gonna kind of share some tactical UX guideline for this strategy. First, creating consistent language is important because it can create a sense of comfort and expectation. For example, when users see the same word and phrase consistently used, they can be more confident and comfortable in using a passkey. This is especially important for better localization for global passkey adoption. And by doing so, we can ensure the consistent user experience overall, and that makes users understand better about this signing experience. And on this slide, I just added a couple of examples which we got a lot of feedback from our developers. When you create passkey prompt screen, please consider create passkey, which is the most accurate word choice compared to other alternatives. Add a passkey or enable passkey is not accurate as the passkey doesn't exist yet. And also, set up a passkey implies the process is complicated, which is not aligned with users' actual sign-in and the sign-in with the passkey and then passkey creation experience, because actually the experience is so simple. In addition, consistent visuals is also important to prompt the new sign-in method and to help users understand these sign-in options. Based on Android UX guidelines, the combination of passkey icon and screen lock visuals such as fingerprint face is most effective, which is also aligned with FIDO UX guidelines. You can also consider using passkey icon itself, but please avoid using inaccurate visuals such as only using fingerprint, because user can misunderstood passkey is equal to fingerprint, but that's not true. And also they can use other screen lock method which is available on their device. Lastly, it would be great to have a dedicated settings page to help users manage their passkeys, improving security, clarity, and ease of use. This also can help streamline the developers' work as well. When you create the settings page, please consider including a few important information. First, please add password manager name and icon to communicate where passkey is saved. Second, please add passkey creation and last use timestamp. And also additionally, please add an option to delete the passkey to help users feel they can fully control their new sign-in method. Next, I'm gonna talk about the second challenge, need for speed. Based on Android UX research to understand mobile users' mental model regarding authentication user experience, we found most users value fast and easy sign-in solutions. While they understand the importance of security, but they often prioritize convenience and also speed. They don't want to explore more details about the technology, the behind the scene, but they trust their chosen password manager and device to handle those security effectively. This means we need to streamline passkey UX as much as possible to reduce friction, as every extra physical and mental step could be a chance for them to give up their using a passkey. Following this idea, starting in Android 15, users can sign in and create a passkey just with a single step, as we merged passkey screen with screen lock screen together. Also, we polished our passkey screens by removing any redundant elements and highlighting the most important elements together. By this way, the whole user experience will be intuitive and less time-consuming. Sometimes we focus too much on how we can actually reduce the number of steps, such as instead of 2 screens, maybe 1 screen would be better. But however, I think minimizing cognitive load should come first before doing that. Okay, here are a couple of UX guidelines to support this. First, If your product runs on Android, please use Credential Manager API because this API will consolidate options for each account and only surface the most convenient and safety option for users, meaning that you don't need to display all available options in one single space, so your user experience is going to be more streamlined. And another thing I would like to point out is when introducing Passkeys, please consider highlighting the passkey benefits in the header that could minimize cognitive load. For example, if the moment is immediately after signing with a password, instead of saying create a passkey, try using skip the password next time, because this contextually relevant header help users understand the convenience of passkeys and why they have to create one for them. Lastly, I would like to talk about user education. As we all know, passkeys are new to many of our users. And to help them, Android team has explored many ways for user education, such as introducing an onboarding screen with passkey benefits. Even we trying to add a lot more buttons to communicate more details about this technology. At the end, we found this approach didn't work because even the users didn't want to move on to the next step to create a passkey. That's because, as I said earlier, for the second challenge, need for speed, most mobile users prioritize speed and convenience. So if we're gonna introduce more steps and more readings, that could be counterproductive on mobile world. Instead, my team shifted our focus to communicate the value of passkeys more strategically at the right moment when the users are more receptive to the idea. And following that, as I mentioned earlier, we had an onboarding screen. Starting in Android 15, we decided to get rid of onboarding screen. But collaborating with our partners, we decided to add passkey benefits on the relying party side. And this approach works really well. And also, this approach is validated with Android UX research. Android team recommend prompting passkeys in the following moments. For new users, please consider having the passkey prompt during account creation, because the users already have a mindset to create account and also they also want to think about how to sign into this app and website. For existing users, the best moment would be immediately after signing it with traditional methods such as a password, or you can consider having passkey prompt during account recovery. Now let's look at some examples about the moments for the best passkey prompt. WhatsApp is doing a great job to have a passkey prompt during account creation. Last year, when we worked together with WhatsApp for the initial passkey integration using Credential Manager, actually, as you see the before screen, there is no such information regarding passkeys. And then we found like many people didn't actually move to create a passkey. And after thinking about the solution with them, and we realized that we need the passkey benefits upfront in the relying party size. This proactive approach works really well, and then currently, during account moment is one of the key drivers for the passkey adoption for WhatsApp. Here is another example for Amazon. They are doing a great job to encourage passkey creation after signing with a password. In their own word, with passkeys, our customers are finding it easier to sign in compared to passwords and codes. Lastly, passkey reset is a great opportunity to prompt passkey creation. Because they already experience the frustration for their forgotten password, they are likely to try the new sign-in method, which is more faster and easier for them. Now let's recap key takeaways. Today we talk about 3 UX strategies for mobile passkey UX. First, we need to standardize passkey UX to enhance clarity and coherence across different platforms and devices. Second, it would be great to find the opportunities to streamline passkey UX as much as possible, as most mobile users value speed and simplicity. And lastly, please communicate the value of passkeys at the right moment to help users immediately understand the context. If you want to explore the full set of passkeys and credential manager UX guide, we recently published the new one. Feel free to visit Android developer website. Thank you.
I was going to try jumping up there, but that's a horrible idea. Okay, so I forgot to mention when I kicked off, if you have, this is open Q&A now, so please add the session to your schedule, and you can ask questions via the app. Because I don't see a standing microphone, so please ask questions via the app. Before we get started, I'm curious, Yunji, so I saw a lot of changes that you've made. How much of that came from just the reams of data that Google has when you look across, passkey implementations on Android? So how much was based on data versus added research that Google does?
Yeah, that's a kind of mixed up things, and then I cannot share the exact numbers of how it works, but basically we got the data from our partners whether which moments are working or not, and then where we have a problem. And also at the same time, if necessary, we did a qualitative study to understand which approach works well. So we kind of combined them all together, and then thinking about, and also looking at the FIDO UX guide, which is our great foundation, and what would be the best kind of solution for us. That's how we landed on these design guidelines.
Okay, and I saw you reference, several of the cues you have are aligned with FIDO's own design guidelines.
Yes.
Which is good. Okay, so here's a couple of questions coming in. How do we solve for explicit entry for passkeys and biometrics during login or registration?
Maybe I don't fully understand the question, so can you repeat it again?
Yeah, and if maybe whoever asked this question could clarify and resend it in, but how do we solve for explicit entry for passkeys and biometrics during login or registration? I don't quite follow it either.
That's a good question, but actually, Android has a lot of different devices. Even we have a multiple OEMs, and then biometric method, and then the logic is so different each other. So maybe if we want to solve those problems, maybe we have to look into all the biometric kind of solution together for each device, and then maybe we can understand better about how we can make it better for those entry points.
Okay. Thank you. So I see a couple questions here. Passkeys versus passkey. When to use which? Passkeys versus passkey, which is the right term. Think of passkey as the word password, right? So if you're talking about talking about plural passkeys, it's passkeys. We're talking about use a passkey. So I think it's pretty, if you think about it as that parallel, because passkeys are a password replacement, easy thing to keep in mind.
Yeah. But the good thing is we have those guidelines in the Credential Manager UX guidelines, because what we found, we got a lot of feedback from word choice, grammar, and punctuation, and then which kind of wording makes sense. And then gratefully, I work with our UX writers to define what's kind of best kind of content guideline for us. So feel free to visit Credential Manager UX guideline. You can learn more about all the details. Or if you cannot find, please reach out to me. I can work more to improve our current UX guidelines.
Okay.
Cool.
Good. Going down the list of questions, lots of great questions. Wow. What is the best UX for passkey recovery?
I think there is some typical journey for the passkey recovery, you mean?
Yes.
To be honest, I really haven't thought about this. But the one thing would be great is if you are using any Android device, and then maybe you remember which password manager you use, and also at the same time, you know which app is you want to enter it. So maybe you can start from the finding the destination where the passkeys are safe, and then maybe you can start from there. But to be honest, I really haven't thought deeply about the passkey recovery yet.
Okay. For deleting a passkey, is it best to still state delete passkey when the passkey still exists in the credential manager?
Yes, so today, like if you want to fully delete the passkey, you have to go to two places. One is app settings, and then the other one is a password settings. But we want to fix this problem, so I guess like soon you don't have to worry about which place you want to delete the passkey, because anyway, something gonna be kind of sync each other, and you shouldn't go to two places to delete the passkey.
Okay. So here's a pro question. The FIDO UX working group research showed that interrupting the user during a traditional login was not the right moment. How did Google determine that interrupting users during traditional login was successful?
That's a good question. Actually, this is based on our research and the internal discussion. But like things I found is because like the passkeys are new, and then maybe the traditional sign-up screen kind of layout and UX doesn't work well at all. And then currently I'm working with our UX team to define what are the best kind of sign-up experience. Because today, anyway, you can sign up or create account using a password or the other traditional sign-in method at that moment, which means passkey should work as well. So I think in this sense, like we are thinking about what are the best strategy for now, and then if you go to the credential manager UX guideline, you can see what are the sample example we are proposing for the sign-in moment, but still working in progress.
Okay, interesting. This is lots of questions, so thank you. Bear with me as I try to parse through these. How should we reconcile UX for security keys and mobile passkeys?
Maybe I'm not the expert regarding the security keys, so.
But I can use a security key on my Android device, correct?
Yes, you can use a security key. So if you are using the Credential Manager API, and then there is a way to use another device, by tapping on this, and then we can list all the security options together. From there, you can choose whatever you want to sign in using a specific physical key.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you see any challenges? Do you see challenges posed when a user is using Google's Passkey UX on Windows or Apple platforms? And are there any tips about the platform-specific passkey prompts causing confusion?
I think this topic, I think it would be great, the FIDO UX group, to handle those kind of topics, because now I see like each platform has a different guidelines and the design system. That's so tricky, like what would be working well. But from my experience, and then also observing a lot of UX research, what I found is, anyway, we have to be so specific, and then the accurate guidelines for, we can kind of share the consistent guideline across the platform as much as possible. Because this is a new, whenever, even the small word choice matters. Like for example, like we got a lot of feedback, create a passkey, add a passkey, enable passkey, or set a passkey. And then that could also impact some localization as well. And then maybe each country interpret the passkey in a different way. And then I think even this is small word choice or small UX guidance that really matter. So I wish like FIDO UX group should talk about these topics more broadly. So by this way, we can also share the same guideline with each other.
Okay. Here's a question. I don't know if you can answer this one, but it's a great question. Will Android support conditional create? I.e., will apps be able to create a passkey for a user without prompting the user?
Yes, so we will soon to support the conditional create. So if you don't know what is conditional create, so when you sign in with your existing password, and Credential Manager API can share those signals with the password manager, and then we can automatically create a passkey for them. So currently this feature is in progress, and then we will probably have those kind of feature available next year. So for now, like within the team, we are kind of thinking about what are the best content for users to understand this moment, because it's maybe possible, like when they see suddenly kind of notification to communicate you have a passkey, but maybe they don't know the passkey at all. So now we are kind of working to find the best balance about the content.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're at time. I'm going to ask one last question. torn between these two great candidate final questions. Oops, I lost it. Okay. Other than more speed and convenience on mobile, are there other key findings or differences between mobile and non-mobile UX best practices?
That's a good question. Actually, I'm more specific working for mobile, but when I'm looking at the more kind of bigger screen, actually there is some interesting way to communicate the user experience, and they're using some different kind of method. So, but I think in general, like the general UX guideline should be same between that. But when we're thinking about the smart device, and then also thinking about the dialogue or bottom sheet to communicate passkeys, users can really kind of focus on those pieces. But instead, if you're thinking about the desktop, which is a really kind of bigger kind of screen, and then there's some sort of kind of elements we will kind of communicate passkey. So I think the user maybe have some kind of different view and the different mental model regarding how they interact with all the contents per kind of screen size.
Okay.
Yeah.
Super. Yunji, thank you so much.
Yeah.